I'm hungry.
Glamorous! A Monopoly. Netflix, Disney, NBC Universal. Just a few of the juggernauts that have embedded their DNA in our generation, all while ruining our resident communication majors' job prospects, as they too destroyed the 22-episode season and Shrek. The film and TV industry is turned on its head, held hostage by overeager tech bros. A tale as old as time. Would you believe me if I said that this has happened before? History constantly repeating itself, regenerating, and not in a fun Doctor Who way, more like Ganon constantly returning with a vendetta for small blondes. And it all begins with the world's first tech bro, Thomas Edison. Monster House, Ferris Bueller, Sinners. None of those films exist without the running horse, the first moving picture recorded by Edward Muybridge, my bridge, our bridge, of, you guessed it, a running horse. A decade later, Thomas Edison's assistant, William Dixon, invents the kinetoscope, the first TikTok baby. It's basically like this jukebox that you peer into and then you see a quick film, then you go on to the next one, look at that one, and so on and so on and so forth, sealing the fate for iPad babies everywhere. Few years later, the Lumiere brothers host the first public screening of a film in Paris with their projector technology. Thomas Edison's brain starts wearing. His slimy little brain gets an idea, and he buys a patent for a projector from Thomas Amat in a very slimy, horrible deal that I won't get into, but like all of his deals, it was not good. And he continues to buy up film patents. Audiences are eating this up. They cannot get enough of the moving pictures, and it's off to the races for the film industry. So Edison calls up his main competitor and says, "Hey, Pookie, do you want to get rich and maybe take over the whole industry?"
Can you say
Monopoly? Edison and his frenemy begin pooling patents, meaning if you wanted to film a movie, you had to pay them some form of money. The monopoly controlled everyone, the actors, the directors, the cameramen, the technicians, and even the theaters where the films were set to debut. And if you didn't pay up, well, they would drown you in lawsuits. They had the money to do so. And here we find our first iteration of the beast, aka the Motion Picture Patents Company. And well, for every beast, there's a knight in shining armor ready to slay it. The desire to create, it can overtake us all. So much so that the creatives at the time flee west.
Hollywood, California, USA. The city that is not a city.
To escape Edison and his cronies. Because of the distance and technology at the time, it just became more difficult to sue them. But that didn't stop Edison from trying. Nearly 300 legal complaints were filed against Universal Studios alone. This is kind of like the Titanic Museum, where you can pick a studio and see if they survive to the end of our story. Spoiler alert, it's not looking good for your fave. With the lawsuits piling up, judges out west were more likely to side with the independents over Edison. Plus, audiences were loving the new locations the film started to have. Beaches, deserts, mountains. The weather was better for filming. And that Cali golden hour. You had to see it to believe it. And by 1915, more than 60% of American films were produced in the Hollywood area. And that very same year, something magical happened. The government, the U.S. government, actually did its job and intervened to break up the Motion Picture Patents Company. The independents won. The artists, free to create. Thank you, heroes. Please, take off your helmet.
Just take off the helmet.
I'm not going to.
Take it off.
No!
Now!
Okay!
Oh, yeah. That's right. Paramount, Warner Brothers, and Universal. Just a few of our heroes. The golden age of film, a time that evokes fur coats, red lips, and methamphetamines. The studios start taking a page out of Edison's book and begin working together. Some even start merging, organizing distribution networks, and buying up theater chains. Essentially, 5 studios control the creation and distribution of all films. Ding, 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 ding. A monopoly! The big beast rears its head again. The studios are forcing theaters to take their C-list movies with the threat of withholding their blockbusters. And even sometimes they blocked the theaters from showing independent films at all. Actors like Judy Garland, Shirley Temple, and Clark Gable are tied to blood-sucking evil contracts, and writers are constricted to strict censorship rules. But just like before, the government gets its big hammer and breaks up the monopolies. Huge rare W and a Supreme Court ruling, United States v. Paramount Pictures. Where have we seen this before? It's also important to highlight that during this time, American households are slowly starting to integrate televisions into their homes. And by 1960, nearly 90% of all Americans had a TV. The moving pictures have entered the domestic space. SCOTUS slapped the scheming studios, and creatives were once again free to do what they did best. Movies started to look a little different during this time. They took on morally nuanced and difficult themes with movies like The Godfather, The Graduate. But studios were still struggling to find their footing in the new landscape. In the 60s, The Sound of Music is credited with saving 20th Century Fox from bankruptcy.
Do you mean to tell me that my children have been roaming about Salzburg dressed up in nothing but some old drapes?
Mm-hmm. It is a period of invention and exploration. If you can look beyond the sexism and racism deeply ingrained in the industry, the new Hollywood age is widely regarded as one of the best for filmmakers. And soon, the industry learns a life-changing lesson. The money is in summer blockbusters. Some of our greatest cultural touchstones were once summer hits, including Jaws and Star Wars. But with some new tech, many studios began to realize they could make a lot of money at the back end. By the late 80s, nearly 50% of Americans were watching movies at home with their VCRs, an item I deeply regret not buying at an estate sale a month ago. With stores like Blockbuster, movies that bombed at theaters were now given a second chance at becoming cult classics. I'm talking movies like The Princess Bride and Rocky Horror. At the end of this era, Disney also hit its famed renaissance, pushing out iconic movies like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King. But everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. In 1999, I was born. I am widely credited for preventing Y2K, but I was not strong enough to prevent the inevitable. If you were conscious in the late 90s and early 2000s, I barely was. You might have noticed a little thing called the internet taking over the world, and I cannot express this enough. It changed everything. Everything has changed now because of this. Everything has changed. But let's talk about the youths. When my parents were young, they watched TV. When my sister was young, she watched movies on the VCR. When I was growing up, I also watched movies on the VCR, but I got DVDs at Blockbuster, even sometimes receiving them in the mail through a little company called Netflix. I also was doing something generations before me never could. I was watching videos on a website called YouTube.
Like sucking like I'm just like, oh my God, time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
By 2010, we have YouTube, Hulu, and Netflix. Movies suddenly have a lot more competition. It's not just TV. Established studios react to this shifting terrain by picking up smaller independent companies. During this decade, Disney buys Pixar, for example. We're starting to see the ranks close. At first, Netflix makes itself known by showing niche films, off the beaten path films, and as rental stores die, more and more studios give Netflix their distribution rights.
Go to Netflix.com, make a list of the movies you want to see, and in about one business day, you'll get 3 DVDs.
Nobody believed that people would really want to watch a movie on such a small screen. They had forgotten their roots and hadn't considered that my generation was obsessed with small screens. The smaller, the better. The more persistent, the better. We loved the internet. We wanted more of it. Long story short, Netflix did well. So studios started to get scared and started pulling their distribution rights. But it was too late. In 2013, Netflix made history after releasing their first original series, House of Cards. It was insanely popular, and also was made using the data of millions of Netflix users. A company that was just a frivolous little thing is now the talk of the town. During this time, Disney starts its Marvel launch, independents begin falling to the back again, and soon every company and their mom launches a streaming service. Theaters are suffering. Americans cut the cord just to adopt digital cable. Now audiences are fed endless remakes, sequels to decades-old movies, and live-action renditions of sacred animated films from our youth. Anything with an established IPO gets made. Oh, and what else? Streaming companies with their original content technically control the creation and distribution of their media. Well, that's not fair because studios can't do that, right? So by 2020, a federal court decides the shifting tides means studios should actually be able to buy theaters again. I mean, it's only fair. And the beast is back. Let's talk media merges. Why? Why is this happening? Why is every production company actually a company wearing 30 different hats, okay? Let's say you're Universal Studios. You have lasted since the golden age, but with Disney and Netflix looming down on you, you would feel safer with a buddy. I mean, who wouldn't? Smaller production companies feel they must sell or merge to even remain on the playing field. So you get some ghastly monsters like Warner Brothers Discovery, and that may not be its last name change. Netflix offered to buy Warner Brothers, but has since walked away from the deal after duking it out for over a month of negotiations. Warner is now set to be acquired by their rivals, Paramount, which is owned by Skydance. To be clear, there is no happy ending here. All around, this is bad. I suggest watching Nathan Fielder's rehearsal episode on Paramount and John Oliver's comments on the Paramount deal. And of course, much like the Netflix deal, Paramount's acquisition raises antitrust concerns, not to mention the political repercussions. The Edison monopoly becomes the studio monopoly, which becomes the new tech monopoly. And consumers and artists suffer. So what's next? Well, from what we've learned, we basically have two options. Either the government gets involved and does its job, breaking up the monopolies and allowing for another run of indie films and creative expression. Or a new technology will disrupt the current system. Whatever happens first. Hopefully not AI, and hopefully not those episode-esque dramas that pop up on my TikTok feed. If it's not that, we're good. Still, filmmakers are finding their way, crowdfunding for their short films, posting online, and teaming up together. The recent writers' strike got some huge wins against AI, so maybe hope is not entirely lost.
We're dead! We're survived, but we're dead!
Thank you guys so much for watching. This was by no means all-encompassing. There is so much more to explore. Every section could have its own video. The streaming landscape is so vast. This is a very, 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 very simplified overview. I cannot express that enough. But regardless, I hope you liked it. I hope you maybe learned something. Let me know if you have any questions or if you would like me to dive into anything else, like maybe why news isn't legally required to tell the truth. There's so much to dive into the field of communications. Isn't that fun? See you guys so soon.
Like sucking